Hey guys, we're back. It's MoneyMark Experience. We're here at the lovely and very successful Jamaica Stock Exchange in our very own downtown Kingston, Harbour Street. Everything's happening here on the waterfront. And we're here actually with Marlene Street Forrest. Some call her Mrs. Street Forrest, some call her Marlene.
Yes.
How are you, Marlene?
I am fine, Mark, and how are you?
I'm good.
Yes. Okay.
Thanks for having us.
Oh, it's a pleasure, always.
Yeah, in the marvelous, beautiful boardroom.
Yes, the old boardroom. Yes.
Yes, but it's looking great.
Thank you.
What are we going to call you today, Marlene or
Marlene.
Mrs. Street Forrest?
Marlene.
Marlene.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Well,
yes.
we like it.
Okay. Okay.
So the Jamaica Stock Exchange, a lot of times persons confuse it that it's just the indices or it's just the exchange, but you are actually a listed company, Marlene.
Oh yes, we are a listed company. We took that decision to list in 2008. It was a good decision because what it does is to say that really you practice what you preach, right? And we have always said, look, listing is not in and of itself the easiest thing, because you are going to have to look at corporate governance, etc., how you are regulated after listing. But we have always said that there's a premium in doing that.
Yes.
So having said that to others, we said it would be important for us to do so whilst we had demutualized. So we had the shares transferred to the various brokers. Then we now say, let us issue more shares on the market and list. It has been a very good journey, because when, Mark, you are regulating and you say, you have to do this, you have to do that, you have to do the other, it's just easy to say that. But when you are also listed and you have to do the same thing, you realize that there is certain discipline necessary for timing, to remember what to release, remember how to release it, remember material information, but it just makes you a better company. It makes you want to reach out and grow.
And you're eating, you're cooking. Is what I'm getting from you.
Exactly. And you are tasting it whether it's nice or not, and you're getting the results of it. But it has been a very, very good decision. So when we go out now and we are telling people about listing, we can tell them you're hearing it from the horse's mouth.
Because you have done it.
Because we have done it.
Under your leadership.
Exactly.
And do you find, Marlene, in hindsight, the actual stock exchange, so Jamaicans can invest in the stock exchange, just like any company, Grace Kennedy, like NCB, BNS, anybody. Just like any company, and they watch, and the shareholders watch you just like any company and see whether the price is going up or down, just like any other company. It's good. And you remember, Mark, that you took us to market. Yes. No, definitely in my previous days. And do you find, though, that in hindsight, the stock exchange actually is, whether it's probably a 3-year, 5-year, maybe even a 10-year period, it is the best performing stock. I mean, funny enough, no pun intended, on the exchange.
Yes,
and Marlene, you're such a one would say a humble CEO, but sometimes in the U.S. markets or the European markets, they judge the best leadership in Jamaica based on the stock price performance.
Right.
Do you find that sometimes persons call you and say you're one of the top CEOs, or just you get that recognition, or like maybe what a Pandui would get at Separate or some of the other big names? Or
yes, I get that, but I don't internalize it. To be quite honest, I don't internalize it. And Mark, it might sound cliche, but I just feel that I have lucked out because I have an excellent team.
Yes.
I mean, I couldn't ask for a better team. We vision together, we learn together, and we grow together. I can't ask for a better team. So, yeah.
And over the years, you have the commercial division here. You also have the regulatory division.
That's right.
And you've also expanded, when you look at the audited financial statements, into other, whether it's subsidiaries or revenue segments.
Yes, we have done that, because what we say is this: we want to be a part of every transaction, financial transaction in Jamaica, if it is possible. So you put yourself in a position, you have the JCSD and they offer registrar services. We have the trust, JCSD trustee, they offer trust services. If it is education, we have the JSE campus that lends itself to the growth of brokers and investors. And so you put yourself, so while we are Jamaica Stock Exchange,
yes,
we are really more about securities.
Yes.
Even rather than stock, you know?
And when you say every transaction, Marlene, are you talking about, if you look at your clients as a listed companies on the exchange,
right?
You're thinking, you know, whether it's in your management team or the boardroom, are you thinking about what those companies want, whether it's this year, 2022,
exactly,
and that's how you're brainstorming?
And that is how we brainstorm it. And if it is that they are thinking overseas, we're going to put the pipe in for them to look at overseas. So you're not restricted. And the big thing is diversification. I just look back at prior to 2020, when everything was rosy and, you know, things are going well. If we did not diversify,
yes,
I mean, it would have been, I don't want to say catastrophe, but it would not have been such a easier path, you know, out of the storm. So
absolutely,
yes, that's it. You just have to look at what are the dots that connect you. You're not going out of the sphere, so we're not going to manufacture patties, right? Because that's not within.
That would be just too much of a you know, the famous word now, pivot. that would just be like left field. Left
field, right? But in the financial sector, the services that are required, and you ask us to, we are going to do it.
Yes.
Yeah, we are going to look at the feasibility and say, okay, let us see, why not? Why not look at it?
But and in hindsight, you know, again, coming back to that word, you've made some punts that have really worked out.
Yes.
You know, when you look at your financials now, or even going to some of your annual general meetings, when you look at the numbers now, your trustee services has actually turned out to be a home run.
Oh, marvelous!
In the many years ago, if you track the audited financials, it wasn't doing as well in the early years, but by the stock exchange sticking with it, when you look at the numbers, it seems it's a serious component now of your revenues and your EBITDA.
Major component, Mark. And that is another thing too. You use the word stick to it. You have to stick to your idea, your vision, and see how you press it out, you know. Some people give up just at the time when things will turn, you know. So when we just started with the JCSD, as you can recall, that had red ink over it, but just as
you had some heated and sweaty days.
You remember, right? And when the market grew, the number of companies listed grew, and persons saw now the JCSD and the registrar as the place of choice. You know, we treasure the fact that people need to get good service, and we set out to do that. We're not perfect.
No, of course,
but we try to, as we listen to people's complaints too, and try to do better. Let us use that word.
Your customer is very important.
Very, very important to us.
Marlene, we just had International Women's Day.
Yes.
But you know, even the more, you know, I'm learning as well and speak to persons in a way, you know, it could be it's Women's Month, or it's whether it's International or National Women's Month.
Right.
What you started your career, I know you've always said, as, you know, accountant, financial controller at Jamaica Observer, other companies.
Right.
And you're highly successful now. I mean, you're the CEO of the Jamaica Stock Exchange, one of the prize of Jamaica. What's one of your messages for the ladies out there, or let's say aspiring young, you know, females, ladies out there that want to make it in Jamaica or internationally?
Have a goal and stick to it. Don't let people dissuade you. Don't feel as if you are less than. But you know, one of the things, Mark, and I always say this, be the subject matter expert. Because in doing so, you command a certain respect. If you are going to do something, do it well, right? And so when you do that, even if there is a thought not to say give you your due. It's almost as if you have to get it. You know, learn also, and you know, one of the thing that is key also, Mark, is I wouldn't say I'm a people person, but learn.
But you could have fooled me because you're vibrant, you're smiling.
Yes, but I'm sort of more retreating rather than otherwise.
You think you're an introvert?
I think so.
Really?
But I love people nonetheless. And I just believe that you can't do it without people. So learn how to engage people, learn how to convince people, learn how to work with people. And I think if you do that, half the battle is won.
So you are a big believer in investing in people.
Precisely. Definitely. Definitely. And that person who you think might not grow, believe me, there is growth in that person.
And it's a testament to you, because even getting here today, your security guard is friendly, you know, seems like the life of the party. Your receptionist is friendly. Your assistant has good vibes. So your morale here seems very good.
Yes, it is.
And you know, they always say, even if you're looking to invest in a company, as you said, the people of the company, you know, the balance sheet critical. The earnings are very important. But your people at the stock exchange seem to be in a good mood despite the hard times of the pandemic.
They are in a good mood. And we work from home as well, and there's deliverables,
of course,
and they deliver, you know, because I think they are vested and they are invested in the
I like that.
in the stock.
That's a good play on words. I like that. Do you find, Marlene, how has COVID hit not just the stock exchange results, but how has it hit, like say, staff? Are you having a percentage or some work from home? Have you had to implement some flexi hours, like the financial sector, or what's happening with the JSE?
So we have a work from home policy, and what we do is many of the people they work from home. We might do a somewhat of a rotation, but persons are allowed to work from home as best as possible. It is important. We talk about International Women's Day. Probably 80% of our staff is women.
Really?
Yes. And that is not because we plan it like that.
It's not on purpose.
No, it's not on purpose.
Right.
It's just what it is.
Yes.
And
so it's similar to the, I mean, you're in a way, you're similar to the financial sector, but it's something that we've seen that publication numerous times coming out of the banking and the security dealer sector, where the majority are females in that sector as well. In that sector,
yes. So as a result of that, and they are young people, so what does that go with? Children. So you have to ensure that they can balance the life at the stock exchange and their lives at home, you know, knowing that the nurturing is usually done by and large, Mark, it's the truth, by female, you know.
Mommy.
Mommy,
or
yes.
It could be big sister.
Or big sister, yes. You know, so we allow them to go work from home.
In a way, you're saying it's really carrying over into, you know, the workplace, the office space.
Exactly.
That TLC and that care.
Exactly. It must be there.
So that accountability, it's minding the house, minding the work, etc.
But getting the job done.
Right. Yes. And to your point, you're seeing now big companies. You know, we've seen, I think it's KPMG globally. Many other notable companies are in support of these flexi workweek hours, as long as the accountability, the job is done.
The job is done.
Yes, and there's software is now coming out to do that.
Yes. You need to get the job done. But you need to know that, because if persons are at work and the mind is at home, what do you think the production level is going to be? Not very high.
Well said. Well said. What would you say, Marlene, about what's your outlook for a lot of board of directors now, shareholders are concerned about just, you know, commercial office space. You, especially in your pivotal role at the JSE, your stakeholders, you have any thoughts or opinions yet on you know, especially in the financial services space, you go into banking halls now, you go into, you know, some security dealers, and, you know, the offices are 70% empty. Any thoughts on just maybe what happens the rest of this year into next year for some of these commercial buildings in New Kingston or even downtown? What's the next look?
You know, Mark, this might not be what most people are thinking, but I'm going to give you my personal view.
Yeah, just an opinion.
I just feel that after the vaccine, etc., people are going to be sort of tired of working from home.
Okay.
Yes, and I just believe that the synergy and the real production that you can get when people work together in a physical space is much better. That's my view. So whereas the halls are empty now, at some point we are going to see probably not a full return as we had before, but I think that it's going to happen. That, yes, so I'm predicting.
So although you know COVID has not turned out to be as short as persons thought, especially in tourism sector, they were like, okay, we're going to be back to normal by last year September, then December. But you think it could be a stopgap whereby we do get back to, let's say, reality or face-to-face meetings, life again.
Yes.
You know, after hopefully the vaccine is the light at the end of the tunnel.
Yes, because we are social beings. I think we were created like that.
Yes.
Yes, and at a certain point, this is going to be a drag on people. Sometimes too, children are back at school. Yes, it's a quieter time, but people don't want to interact with others, and I just feel that we're going to see that in the years to come.
Yeah. No, I know, Marlene, you can't comment on everything. So I know assessed revenue is a little bit off, but it could be way worse off compared to other companies. How do you find the stock exchange is doing? You know, just with your performance, your results, compared to pre-COVID?
Assessed revenue is badly off. You know, and that is why we talk about diversification.
Yes.
Because that is really the revenue that is down. Assessed revenue is down probably over 50%.
Really?
Yes.
And is that year over year or more quarter over quarter?
Year over year.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So that is one of the things we are anticipating will come back up quickly. We see where between December and March, as we speak, that while the combined index is probably just about the same, we see where the junior market is 9.5, you know, an increase again there. We see that's
the index or the indices of the markets. Yes. So the junior market actually year to date is doing okay.
Oh yes, because it's about 9.5%.
And what do you attribute that kind of being up year to date?
I think and it did not struggle as much as the main market either last year.
Okay.
And I think it really is about the fact that these are younger, more growth companies, and people see them as such.
Okay.
So I think that is one of the reasons why we are not seeing that sort of difference.
Yes.
You know. Yeah.
Okay.
I think so.
And
I think the markets are coming back up.
You think?
You know?
Okay.
Yes.
And you know, from our perspective on MoneyMark, what's interesting is you know, we're seeing construction doing well, some healthcare, logistics. So we've seen Mailpack resilient, you know, Carb Cement.
Yes.
Of course, the food companies just like overseas, Grace, Derrimon, etc. But really, it's a handful or a bit more than a handful seems to be COVID resilient right now.
Okay.
But then on the other side, everybody seems to be, you know, a bit sideways.
Yes.
Or so.
Yes, lagging a little.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so do you find the main indices is struggling a bit right now?
Yes. Yeah. It is. The combined from this December to now, it's an increase of about 0.4%.
Okay.
While in the junior market, as I said, it's 9-point-something%.
Yes.
You know.
Yeah.
The manufacturing and distribution, well, you said it, that is also up.
Right.
Manufacturing and distribution. So it depends on the sector. It varies based on the sector. But I believe our listed companies have good persons at the helm, by and large. And you know, Jamaicans, they're not going to stay down and roll over dead.
No, we're fighters.
We're fighters.
Our brand is to, you know, fight, get back up, and push through it.
Exactly. And you know, as you said, the word pivot.
Yes.
I think many of them are, it's so overused. But many of them
you can't go to whether it's a function or a board meeting or lunch or not there. Pivot.
Yes, I'm afraid they're using it now. It's just overused, but it's what it is. And so they are looking at different strategies to grow.
Yes. And what about new products? I know you've, as you said earlier, you're always innovating here. You're always coming up with something new. So you launched a private market recently.
We launched a private market.
And not just launch, but a bang.
Oh yes.
You know, so you're talking billions and billions of listings with Guardian
Holdings.
What else do you have in store? Any new listings there, or or IPOs,
Oh yes, Mark. We had 8 listings last year.
And that's cumulative, everything.
Yes, despite COVID. And we have budgeted for 14.
This year?
Yes, and we think we are going to get there.
And you already had some, Marlene, this year already?
Well, only on what we had this year was the Guardian 2 listings.
So that was in 2021?
2021.
Okay.
But the people are preparing, because you know, you're in the business, you know that persons are now calling, asking questions, the attorneys, so you see that something is happening.
You see.
Yes.
Because that's what's interesting, is that sometimes, even if, as you said, we've lost tourism for now, things seem to be bad, not as good. The quality, it seems, or as long as because there's a lot of liquidity out there, persons say, whether it's institutional, pension funds, but as long as it's a good quality, you know, good corporate governance, as you said, strong management, the deals are getting done.
The deals are getting done. We have had so many APOs.
Yes,
you know, and
that's a new craze now.
Oh yes, a new craze. New flavor of the day.
Even even we get the comment all the time, like, is there another APO? So it's not that it has replaced the IPO, but it is a new buzz.
Yes, it is a new buzz, and they are all oversubscribed. They have all been oversubscribed, and based on what I've heard, we are going to be having a few more.
Okay.
So I'm looking forward.
It's a good thing for the market, in the sense that if we have a great company and let's just say it has too much maybe debt or even leverage, the APO has become almost a product now to help that business or company even become a better company. Better company. So it's good that listed companies are not only thinking of the initial point at which they list and raise capital, but they are now saying, how can we use the market to get more equity capital? And equity capital is always good, especially when it is that you have things like a pandemic. Yes, because you want to take some of that interest expense off your books. Yes, because well thought out creativity becomes even more important now in these times. Innovation.
If
we look at the US companies, which you know, if you look at Carnival Cruise Lines, even American Airlines, we were just talking about, is going back to the market, $5 billion US, using its frequent flyer miles, Marlene.
Exactly.
But the thing is, in the Caribbean, we don't really have those avenues yet. So it seems the APOs have become the new to make these companies even survive in some cases.
Exactly. And you see, because Mark, you know, I think sometimes we are preaching to the converted, but because you have shareholders, and those shareholders still have a confidence in that business. Yes, there might be a pause or a lull. You can go back to them and say, look, we need a little bit more. This is patient capital. You know, we are good for the money in terms of what we plan to do, and they'll get it. And as you said, the liquidity.
And you're seeing companies do that.
Yes.
I mean, even if you look at Burrito's, you know, large success, they've not only gone in, but they've double dipped, triple dipped, and they're doing better and better from it.
Exactly. Yeah. And you know, you have companies like JMMB that always have their prefs out.
Their prefs.
They go out there, they get it, they do what they have to do. It matures, they go back out, And that's the beauty of the market.
And with interest rates at such a low or all-time low, when you think about it, for pensioners and for everybody, there's just nothing that you can get a safe yield or, as you said, a quality yield on your Jamaican dollars.
Exactly. So if you go with a pref, it is a good thing, you know.
And in that specific case you mentioned, it's actually a monthly payment.
It's exactly
that the JMB pref is giving you.
It's giving you. Exactly.
That's a good point.
So it is really almost as if you are getting a salary.
Yeah. Well said. To your point on the private market, that was recently launched. And, and what's the purpose of it, or what's the goal of it? One would say. We saw the press release, we saw the launch. You did one, as you mentioned.
Yes.
Do you think others will come? Do you think it will be? I know you have the U.S. market as well, which has as many listings, but some things work awesome, some things do well. Yes. But do you think more companies will come onto the private market? Well,
you remember now that the listings are those that have gone and gotten an approval through the exempt distribution guidelines,
which is the Financial Services Commission, FSC.
FSC, and so as it is now, if you wanted to do a transfer from yourself to me, it really depends on finding that person, right? But when you have a market for it, just as though you have a market, the normal market, persons will see you put up the security for sale. They can, and when I say person, I mean those who are qualified to transact in that market.
So the true essence of exchange, you're giving some liquidity.
You're giving
just
some
like,
liquidity.
You know, Euro bonds or Euro clearable.
Exactly, yes.
Bloomberg provides some pricing.
Exactly.
You have some pricing.
And the pricing, yes.
Does a company have to publish financials if it lists on the private market, or
no? The company has to provide financials.
To the JSE, Marlene?
Yeah, but not to the JSE, but not to the general public. So, but those financials would be put on the private market platform.
Which is that accessible to the public,
not
or
to
just
everyone, just to those persons who can participate in that market.
So it's private to whoever let's call them the accredited investors, or the investors are to them. So they can download it, they have it.
Yes, and they can
go. That's great information. Yes. To understand more.
Right.
Okay.
And so we expect, the brokers have indicated, yes, the brokers have indicated that they will be
your stakeholders.
Yes, exactly. Okay. So I expect that they will. Yes.
Awesome. Yes. Okay. And any other maybe new initiatives or new products, revenue segments that you're contemplating for 2021? Despite the COVID.
Despite the COVID, we will be launching the direct market access.
What is that now?
So
is that JTrader or something different?
No, not JTrader. But if we talk about JTrader, what we will be doing is expanding and ensuring that JTrader is even more robust than it is now. Because what we found is that because of COVID, so many persons started to use JTrader Pro.
And so we definitely want a plug for JTrader, Marlene. Yes. JTrader, you have to pay for it, or can I be anywhere in the world and use JTrader?
Anywhere in the world and use JTrader. Anywhere in the world, and you don't have to pay for it.
And is it $100,000 a year, or is it free, or how does it work?
Free. So once you still have to have a broker.
All online, or have to sign a piece of paper?
Online.
Everything is online now.
You can do that online. I suspect that the broker might say to you, send in the original documents, something like that. But you still can upload your things online.
Okay.
Then the broker approves it.
So you start with the JSE website.
You start with the JSE website.
JTrader.
Exactly.
What does the J stand for when somebody asks, whoever it is, your receptionist, your back office, your front office, what it stands for?
It's really Jamaica.
Jamaica.
Yes.
Nice.
Right,
okay. Right. All right. Good.
So when the broker now, after you put in, you look now and you say, okay, which broker I want to go to? There are options now. So you could choose 1, 2, 3, whatever. But you choose those who are participating in the online trading platform, because not all brokers
are on it, right?
And then you put in your particulars.
And once you do that, you control your destiny at that point now?
No, the broker has to approve first.
Okay.
Has to approve you, approve that account,
Yes.
and also a fund account.
Okay.
Because remember now,
You still have to put your money in.
exactly.
Is that so you don't get credit?
No, you don't get credit.
You don't get credit. Okay.
And because you're still connected to a broker, whatever you do, the broker will have to pay at the end of the day.
Of course. So the broker settles with you at the stock exchange.
The broker settles.
And what's the settlement date like now? Is it
It's T+2.
Okay, so you're T. International.
International. We were one of the first
best
ones.
Practices now.
Best practices,
How is
Mark.
Trinidad and Barbados are T+2?
I don't know what they are, you know. I know that they might have been moving towards it, but we moved first. I'm not sure if they have done so as yet.
So JTrader Jamaica, you're leading the Caribbean as usual.
Oh yes, oh yes. Whilst it's a international standard, we are going to go for it.
Go for it.
Yes.
Okay.
Because we say our building is in Jamaica, but we don't consider ourselves constrained to Jamaica.
Yes.
Yes, we are a world brand. Yes.
And I saw a recent article, Marlene, where it was saying that 10% now. You know, you're coming from the days of only 2%, 3%, 6% of the investable population, or the adult population.
The adult population.
It says now 10%.
Yes.
Is that true?
Yes, it is.
It is.
Yes,
okay.
it is. And then the mix, Mark, what is lovely, we're talking about Women's Day.
Yes.
The mix now over the last, I think, 4 or 5 years, it's half female, half male. You know, so more
really.
women. Oh yes. As a matter of fact.
So women are now saving more. They're investing
more. I suppose
they're
always
and they're probably even getting their own accounts.
Oh yes. It's not it's not Mark and Andrea.
Okay.
A lot of them female. So we are just excited about that as well. You know that
I like how you're dropping an Andrea in life.
Can you imagine? Can you imagine? Yeah. But and I don't know where that came from. But but definitely you're seeing now when there's an IPO, 50% male, 50%. It you know that sort of variation.
Do you get statistics also or data, like in other words, are you seeing, let's say, millennials? I know you know the world has been on a millennial craze and things that millennials like and differences. But are you seeing persons say 34 and younger, come into the JCSD, which is the Jamaica Central's depository, as well?
Yes, we're getting that statistic. But 18 to about 25, they're not as active as 25 and over.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Those are
in terms of transactions.
In terms of exactly.
Okay. But they'll get started maybe.
Yes, you have them getting started. Great. But the volume is more on the other.
And a few years ago, you passed something, Marlene, which I think is amazing, is that you can now be a minor on an account once you have a TRN number.
Yes.
So let's say a child, a baby.
Yes.
Have you seen some uptick also in whether it's parents
and child?
And you're putting them as a joint account holder?
Yes, we have seen that as well. We have seen that as well. And it really encourages, you see, Mark, what is happening and what was happening in the past is that persons saw investing in the stocks and so as an older and a certain demographic
and very traditional.
Yes, and a certain type.
And you can say it has always been like you have to be wealthy or affluent or you just have to be rich to be able to get into the market.
But is that like
but it has changed now.
Oh man, it has changed.
And your social media, Marlene, to your credit,
yes,
your social media has done a huge change.
Oh yes.
I mean, let's say even a 360 over the past probably 2-3 years.
2-3 years.
I mean, you've done a huge change. It's become cool and very hip over the past couple of years.
You see, young people.
And it has helped. It has really helped.
Yes, young people will make it hip.
Yes.
Right. So you get the young folks to do what they know.
Yes.
Connect with them, and while it connects with them, it still connects with the the more mature
of
people,
course,
so
because you really have to, I guess, you have to keep both user groups happy.
Exactly.
I mean the world is your oyster. You want international, you want Jamaica and Caribbean, but young and and old, or you want everybody?
And everybody to participate.
Because you said that as we got started, everyone is your client. You want everyone's transactions.
I want everyone's transaction. We want everyone's transactions. we welcome everyone's transactions. Overseas, if you want to come and list, we love for you to come, you know, obviously. Yes, we want the listings from United States, from Canada, and we want them from everywhere, and the Caribbean.
And to that point, I get this question a lot, and I'm even still confused. One of the few things in regard to that. Can a global company from anywhere, you know, list on our Jamaica Stock Exchange, or do you have to be a Jamaican or, let's say, CARICOM company?
No.
Or what's the rules there?
Let us be clear to everyone. An overseas company can list. You don't have to be a CARICOM company. You will need to register. If you're overseas, you register with the company's office. Like a branch, or just a company.
A Jamaican company.
No, it can be an overseas company. You're registered to have your securities within this market. So no, we accept companies from anywhere so long as they're able to meet with our requirements.
But if I'm to that point, Marlene, let's say if I'm an Australian company, or I'm a Canadian company, can I list that actual, say, Canadian Australian company on the JSE, or do I have to go and register some derivative at company's office?
No.
You can list that.
You can list that
as long as you meet the, as you said, the Securities Act issuer requirements.
That's what correct. You have to do.
But it can be that company domiciled overseas.
Exactly.
So that's another unique thing about our Jamaica Stock Exchange.
Yes, you can. And persons tend to feel that if you're not a Jamaican or a CARICOM, you can't list. We have Equity Line. That's a company in Canada.
I've seen that company, yes. Like a mortgage-based company. Yes, but its operations are in Canada.
And it is a Canadian company.
Okay.
And it is listed on the Jamaica Stock Exchange. That company pays dividend every month. You know, so it's one of those.
And it has institutional Jamaican investors.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so that is an example, and do you find that is a growing area? I mean, I know COVID does have its hits, but is that a growing area, or are there international persons? Since, you know, I think Bloomberg 2018 best performing market, has that put our exchange, you know, on the global spotlight, where international investors come here and say, Marlene, I'd love to meet you. You know, not just a brokers. We have a company. Can we consider raising capital or listing in Jamaica?
Yes, companies are coming. But not as fast. Just before this interview, I had a company call to say, yes, we want to come. Just, 10 minutes before you walked in, Mark. And we just sent off the particulars to them, how they can do it. We're going to have
like the listing requirements.
Exactly. Then we're going to have a Zoom meeting and just encourage them. You know, things always take time. They go back and they chew on it, and we answer questions again, and you know, we'll get them.
At that point, just as a CEO, how you feel about Zoom now? Do you find Zoom has made you
Zoom.
More exhausted or
more exhausted?
The same?
No. It's exhausting.
Okay.
Yes, it is exhausting.
And is it because you feel like a lot of the studies that are out there now, let's say a year later, that you're having to really mentally focus more if you have them, say, 8 hours a day, back-to-back meetings, compared to like what we're doing now, like a face-to-face?
Yes, you know, one has to recognize that there is work after Zoom. So you have a Zoom meeting, and the meeting is not fully work. You know, it is part of work, but there's something else to do.
Okay.
Arising out of that meeting, or else you are just talking, right? And if you have
feeling like double work.
Yes, and if you have the Zoom meetings back to back to back to back,
yes,
there has to be a time when you do some work based on the meeting, on what came out of the meeting, matters arising. So yes, it is exhausting.
Yeah, great. And Marlene, you know, you've launched a regulatory arm. You have your commercial arm, you've gone public, you've launched all these new arms, products, they're doing well, segments. What's in store for you and the stock exchange 3, 5, 7 years from now? what's the big picture that you can tell us?
Well, you know, Mark, let us talk about the stock exchange
Sure.
first.
Yeah.
The stock exchange is going to go from strength to strength because there's a vision. And
it's an iconic asset, right?
It is, yes. And but we work that vision. We tick off what we have been doing, and so it doesn't get, you know, lost in the process. And the persons from the board right down know that you have to move also with the time, technology. So if we are talking about digital assets, we are going to put ourselves in a position to ensure that we are not behind, but we must be working towards it. So even if it takes 2 or 3 years to ensure that there's risk management and whatever it is surrounding what we are doing, we're going to do it. And I think that that is in, and I hope that that will continue to be in the DNA of the stock exchange, because the focus really is just for us to be a global player. You can go out there, be noticed by the globe, understand that 2015 we were the best performing, 2018, and over the years, a few years, we're in the top 10, and not behave global. So the reach is global. We are diversifying the products and services. So I see that momentum moving.
In terms of keeping it consistent?
Yes.
And do you find that a hard thing for the stock exchange or with your management team, keeping the performance consistent or keeping the stock exchange consistently there?
You know, because of the enthusiasm, I think the team could probably change, but I think that because of the culture, whilst you continue to add new blood, when they come in and they are and you know, immersed in that culture, you're going to continue to have the good performance.
Gotcha. And similar to NASDAQ, which has acquired a lot of exchanges, a few other exchanges have been buying up exchanges, but you know, many years ago. Any plans there for the JSE, whether you know it happens or just maybe it's something that you think about? You know, could the JSE look to acquire exchanges in the Caribbean region or globally, or is it just something that exchanges don't really come up for sale in our neighboring countries?
Who knows, Mark? If there is a possibility, then you acquire.
Okay.
Yes, if there's a possibility and it's you integrate. But I think the Jamaica Stock Exchange should always look and open its eyes to possibilities.
I love that. And Marlene, you know, Fintech. Of course, I guess, you know, us at MoneyMark, we respect, you know, in the Caribbean, we're a little bit slow when it comes to Fintech. I mean, understandably so, regulations, legislation, everything. Do you see Fintech as something that will collaborate with the stock exchange, as you know, you're iconic, you're a utility, but you're public, or do you think Fintech is something that is actually could be a challenge or a danger for the JSE going forward?
Not at all. Not a danger for the JSE.
Okay.
It is there. We have to, as you use the word collaborate, we have to know how we incorporate it in whatever we are doing. Remember, the world is changing, Mark, and you cannot be static.
Yes.
You cannot be. If you are static as a stock exchange, then you are gonna be acquired.
That's a good point.
Yes, you're gonna be acquired.
So you're embracing it.
You have to.
Looking at things and everything.
Yes, you might not understand everything, but that is why you get the resources in place to ensure that you are along for the journey.
Yeah. Yes. And you've had at some of your conferences. I think you had a virtual conference recently.
Yes.
Some of your past conferences, you've had blockchain speakers. I mean, Bitcoin.
Yes.
I mean, funny enough, wow, you know, Bitcoin now, you know, has even gone over 50,000.
Yes.
All-time
value.
highs.
Yes.
Hedge funds, banks are in it, everything. I mean, you know, who would have thought it? But it's a reality now.
Yes.
So, any plans there? I mean, the central bank has said something like they're looking at working papers, or they're you know, they're considering it, or some topic, I don't recall exactly. But is there any discussions or thoughts there from the JSE?
But Mark, we are working on it.
Okay, you are? Okay.
Oh yes, we have to be.
Okay.
So we are ensuring that our environment is, you know, safe. We know what to do, how to do. But soon, we have put all our documentation together. We have been in discussion with the Financial Services Commission, and you will soon hear something about that from us.
I love that. Okay.
Oh yes, we have to. It is here to stay.
So in a way, you really have to, you know, potentially lead it or be involved and collaborate it.
Most definitely.
To move it forward.
Move it forward, definitely.
Great.
So those are some of the things we are working on.
Yeah.
You know, so the DMA, as I said, the direct market access, where persons in Jamaica can buy into, we will start with Canada, and we'll be launching that by April.
Okay.
And they can.
Because you've had I've seen on the, whether it's a website or your releases, you've had a number of strategic partnerships with
Canada,
the Canadian Stock Exchange,
Canadian Stock Exchange, and people in Canada.
Okay.
Because we, just to their credit, we find them a little bit more receptive.
Okay.
So you start first where there is that reception. And we do have liaison in Canada.
You do? Okay.
Yes, working the field for us.
Mm-hmm.
We are a member of the Canadian Toronto Board of Trade.
Okay.
Yes.
The stock exchange itself?
No, the Board of Trade.
Okay.
Yes, we are also a designated exchange in Canada.
Really?
So yes, so these are some of the things. We also are a member of the CSD in Canada.
Okay.
So so you put the pieces together.
Yes.
You know, one at a time, right?
Yes.
And as a result of that, now you can incorporate all of that into what is the service you're going to be delivering.
That's good.
Yes.
Yeah. And you found that to be beneficial, these relationships.
Yes.
You know, let's say with a G7 country in Canada.
Very beneficial. You know, very beneficial. And you see, yes, United States at this point, well, it has more persons in the diaspora, but you start where also you have even more commonality. For example, our accounts are IFRS.
Mm-hmm.
Canada is IFRS, you know, as against the US GAAP. So these are some of the things that you take into consideration. Which do you tackle first?
Yes.
The low-hanging fruit or the other one?
Right.
So yeah.
I love it. Marlene, thank you so much for being on MoneyMark Experience.
Oh, it was such a pleasure. The time has flown, right?
Yeah, and it's been super refreshing seeing you.
Thank you, Mark. You too.
You too. Great.
Yes.
Marlene Street Forrest at Harbour Street, right on the waterfront in Jamaica, Kingston, Jamaica. It's been great having Marlene Street Forrest, the best performing stock, or one of the best performing stocks over the past decade or so. A fantastic CEO, lady of the moment, Marlene Street Forrest, MoneyMark Experience.